Sorry, good day everybody, how are you today? I'm International Master Sopiko Guramishvili here for you on Chess 24, and today we're going to have the Banter Blitz show. I guess that it's been a long while since I had the Banter Blitz show because these months I've been busy with covering the World Cup games, then having the tactic test, and now finally it's time to play a little bit games with you, and I have to remind you how it works. So you have to search my nickname on Chess24, which is Sopiko. You have to challenge me with 5-minute blitz games, and then I'm gonna pick the premium members, and I'm going to play against you while I'll be commenting the moves by myself and by my opponent as well. I guess you already know how to challenge me because I have lots of challenges already, and I'm gonna pick the very first one because I generally pick very random, but I'm gonna pick the very first one, and it is going to be the Fenomen. So let's get started, and I'm gonna play the 5-minute blitz game against Fenomen. I am playing with black pieces, and here we go. Let's see if he is there, and he's there. He is online, and he started the game with e4. I'm gonna go my favorite Sicilian Najdorf variation. I guess it's gonna be the Najdorf, and yeah, it is the Najdorf. And now let's see what line he will choose against me. F3. This is one of the popular line against the Sicilian, though nowadays bishop g5 is more played, or bishop e2, bishop e3. I think bishop e3 is generally more flexible because you keep the option of f4 or f3. While with f3 you already decide your plan, what do you want to do. Bishop d2, this is a little bit awkward move. Usually bishop is developed on e3 to control the a7 g1 diagonal, and on d2 it is just strategically bad because it closes the d file. Black's main point in this position is to get rid of this d6 weakness and break in the center with d5. So with bishop d2 I'll be able to easily play d5. Bishop d2 is bad in many ways because sometimes white wants to go knight d5, and now it's not possible. Knight d5. I think it might have been a mouse sleep, so that he, or maybe he just wanted to develop bishop e2, bishop d2. I'm not going to allow the castle, although I think any move, bishop e7 or d5, any move is okay for black, but queen b6 I think is most annoying because when you cannot castle, it's really not nice. Here we have the typical sacrifice can happen, like bishop g5, bishop g5, bishop g5, bishop e7 and bishop f6, bishop f6 and queen d6. I think this is quite risky because after rook d8, queen c5, I can just go back to c7, and black's gonna have tremendous compensation for the pawn. It's very bad what's happening for white here because I have a free hand on the queen side. I think he wants to castle long side, but castling long side will mean that he lost a lot of tempo. Bishop e3 as well, he lost a lot of tempo developing this bishop, like bishop d2 first, then bishop g5, then bishop e3. He managed to castle, but it is not what white wants to. Yes, everything is developed, but it's not developed on the best squares, and now I think it's time to grab the initiative. How to grab the initiative? I think I have two options here. One is the breakthrough in the center with d5, and one is b5, which is very, very common. I think I like move b5 because there is no knight a4 or... okay, queen f2 is a bit tricky now because he wants bishop b6, but I think that after queen b7, if I don't blunder the rook on d8, and afterwards I'm threatening b4 or d5, I would like, in my dream scenario, I would like to go b4 first and I would like to go d5 afterwards. And why is that? Because after d5, e d5, knight d5, and bishop d5, I don't want to allow so many exchanges. Of course, I like to go to kick this knight out from the c3 square, and afterwards go d5, have my knight on d5, and have every piece in the center. This looks really bad for whites. It might not be that understandable for now why it is that bad, but I think that just the position of the pieces are not coordinated. Usually the problem in Najdorf is this knight on b3. It can go now to c5, and it happened. Knight c5 is there. But I think that after even bishop c5, and rook e1, black should be doing perfectly fine. I gave up my dark squared bishop, but I have already d5 on the board, and I have advanced pawns on the queen side. Rooks are already in the center, having the e and d file. So not a disaster, of course, for white. It's not like a lost position or something, but I'm pretty comfortable with black. I think so, at least I think. There might be players who would prefer to play this position with white, but as an Najdorf player, I think that this is the position which black is opting for. And definitely this is quite a bad move, because allowing d4 should be pretty bad. I have two options though. I can take on e4, d takes e4, f takes e4, play knight g4, queen g3, and take on e3, queen e3, and have the d4 square. Or I can go d4 right away, which I think I might like a bit more. Although after d4, bishop g5, and queen g3, bishop h4, after d4, bishop g5, it's a little bit nasty pin. I really don't want to allow this pin, so I'm going to take on e4. Oh, bishop e4 happened, but this is something that I would like, because now white squares will be quite weak, and I can play f6 at some point. I think I can go f6 right now. Or I can also play like moves like rook c8, just to have an eye on c file. This e4 pawn should be also very weak, so first I will go f6 not to have any problems. Afterwards, I think I will go, I want to get my knight somewhere, and I think I'm gonna go knight e7 first. I don't know if it's the best move in this position, but I wanted to have my queen open, and I guess it should be pretty okay if I take this one here, or I can even take on d1, but not necessary. I think queen e4, now queen f6 is a bit of problem for me, because queen f6, g takes f6, knight f6, king g7, and knight e4, I'm losing the pawn. But after queen f6, I have queen e3. So the piece is hanging. Ooh, I have 30 seconds. That's not good news. So I have to hurry up and I have to talk less probably. That's, what is this? Oh my God. Okay, I'm just gonna change the queens. I don't know what's going on, so I'm gonna play it safe, change the queens. And this was bad because the queen is bishop e3 he has here, but bishop e3, queen e4 anyway, and this should be perfectly fine for me. Okay, h3, I just have a piece, so I have to keep calm, and I have to, it's completely winning for me, so I just have to play it fast, play it very, very fast. Which I don't think I'm best at, but of course we will try our best. Okay, check. Let's get this pawn as well. Let's grab this one. And let's go to promote the queen. Then it's going to be easier to mate. And I think I managed it. Yeah, I won the game, although I didn't like that I spent too much time. And I spent too much time not on explaining things, but just I had to move faster and I had to think what's better and what's not. I think that the main mistake in this position was bishop d2. It was like very weird move, but of course it didn't mean that he had lost position. The play got very complicated, but for example, at this moment when he gave up the e4 pawn, bishop h6 was super interesting move. Let me show you the exact moment. Yeah, bishop h6 here was super interesting move, and kudos to my player, to my opponent for this move, because it's a little tricky for me. If I take here, then of course knight f6 and I'm losing the queen. If not, knight g7 and bishop g7 is the problem. I thought that I should be able to play queen g6, but I hallucinated a bit that there will be knight g7 or and actually there will be knight g7, because after queen h6 knight e6 is there, and after queen g6 knight g7, if I move my bishop, let's say bishop c4, this position probably should be enough to win, because many things are hanging, like bishop on h6 is hanging, the rook on f1 is hanging, bishop cannot move because then the knight will be hanging on g7. So I think that queen g6 would do its job. Bishop g7, queen h5 and queen f6 is an interesting try, but I have queen f7. I think I have queen f7. There is though queen e5. Definitely a big compensation for white. So maybe not queen g6, but then knight f5 should be an interesting move. Although after knight f5 there is bishop g7, knight g7 and knight f6, and I think that suddenly after bishop at h6 I'm in a bit of trouble. Although I have to say that I have quite a bit of moves, tempos I mean, to do something. I played queen d4, which is quite okay, reasonable move. Knight f6 was the mistake. I think what should have been played is bishop g7, and I was going to take it. If rook f2, I think I was going to take this one as well, and I would play this position. Probably bishop f7 wins here, because after knight f6 there is this guy hanging, and g4 cannot go because bishop h5 and g7 is hanging. So that's good news for me. Queen d4, maybe my intuition was not that bad, but what about knight g7? Also, I should take here. I should play, maybe I should exchange everything, play bishop c4, and this is completely complicated endgame, which my opponent definitely had to go for. Okay, enough about this game. Let's see another challenge, and another challenger will be somebody who I think I haven't played yet, and that's going to be Kerry Tyrrell. I am playing with white pieces, and I'll start with d4. Although I'm playing a lot of openings nowadays, I have tried e4, I have tried knight f3, I have tried c4, g3, b3 even. It's nice to be white because the choice is on you, and now what we have on the board is the key. In this line, I've played lots of moves. I started with knight f3, h3 when I was very little. Then I switched to bishop e2, bishop e3, and knight f3 after e5. But after knight b7, I am feeling a bit... I'm on an aggressive mode, so I'm just going to be a bit aggressive and play something like this. Let's close the center and let's get all our attention on the king side. So what is my plan? My plan is to go h4. My plan is to go h5, open the h file, and queen d2, bishop h6. So very in a very simple way, I want to mate my opponent. I don't know if he allows it. h5 is a correct, I think it's a correct response, not to allow h5 from white side. Another option would have been to play h6 and on h5 to play g5, or h6, g5 would be more problematic because hg and the h file is still open for white. Although in my dream scenario, I would not want to have my pawn on g5 because then bishop h6 wouldn't be possible anymore. So after h5, bishop g5 has that position. It is possible to go queen e8, which he did, and now I think there are different options. I can take on f6 and I can take on h5, which I think I have to do because I don't want to allow hg and knight e4. Although here I think my problem would be that after hg, king h8, bishop g7, when black keeps the dark squared bishop, that it's not very easy to attack. I will try my best. I will try to get my rook on g1. What I will try is, I will go knight h3. I have knight g5 in mind. Next move will be long castle and rook g1. My plan is to get all my pieces into attack, and I think this is a mistake because after bishop h3 and rook h3, I will have a tempo. After long castle, rook g1, rook g3 is in my favor. So rook h3 is better square, of course, than rook h1, because after rook g1 I can double the rooks on g file. And if he doesn't create any counterplay on the queen side, then the game will be very difficult for him. The main idea of the King's Indian is that black wants to go f5. In like any at any point of the game, he is always thinking of f5, because then after f5, white would have trouble with the bishop on e3, which was not exchanged yet. Or in this position, if you go f5, I don't think it's an advantage, because first of all, after f5, oh my god, oh Okay, I was too optimistic because king h7 was just a trap of knight of bishop h6, but rook g8 is a mistake because I can pin him now. I am pinned, I know, but I can pin him with rook h5, and there is no bishop d2, so that's a big mistake from my opponent. Also f6 was not working because of the same rook h5, but bishop g5, hg5 should have been played, and probably king g6 just to protect the h5 pawn, although I would have very bad f4 in that line. Rook g1, I would go king c2, and I don't see how black should defend. Let's say queen f8 is the only move now to defend the h6 bishop, or queen f6, also possible. And here, what can I do? If I have such move like queen g5, that would be very cool. But it's a little bit part of the imagination, creativity, I would say. But I don't think I can mate. Why I cannot do that? Because after queen g5, rook g5, hg, queen goes somewhere to e7, let's say. Rook h6, king g7, rook h7, king g6, rook h6, and king g5. All I can do is perpetual, and and I'm not big fan of perpetual in this position. All right, then what can I play? I need to get my pieces into play. So what would I do? I don't want to give up my rook for the bishop. And what can I do? Still tough. It's not so easy, this position for me. Because now queen g6 is a little bit weird move. Okay, what about rook g5? I don't have queen g5, but what about rook g5? I am using the fact that after bishop g5, hg, it's a check, and you cannot go so... Oh, no, hg, and you're losing the queen. That's a mistake. I think rook g8 should have been played. And after rook g8, I wanted to free my queen, but that wouldn't be that easy. He missed that there is a check, and I did not give up my rook just like this. But he definitely missed it. Yeah. It was an interesting position. I think from here, bishop g7, knight h3. I would not take on h3 just because I think that it's important to keep this bishop, and the knight on g5 is not doing anything. So I would have actually problems of taking my knight wherever. For example, c6 or bishop d7 with the idea of b5 on long castle would have been interesting. Okay, let's see another challenge, and another challenge is going to be, let's see who I'm gonna choose. Oh, I'm gonna choose Jacco Karssing, who I know very well, and he is a premium member. I'm very happy that he is a premium member. He was on Vikings tournament this year, having a paper written Sopiko supporting me, and that was very nice. I drew that game, and it was super nice to have such support, because it's not that often you see in chess people coming with a paper, and on the paper it's written your name, and he had a paper right here on his chest, and that was very nice. Vikings tournament, it was super difficult tournament for me. I lost many games there, but I think that I learned quite a few things from that tournament, because then I played Women's World Championship cycle and it went super good for me. So I think that was a pretty good experience for me. All right, a3, not allowing bishop b4. That's something new for me. Jacco is playing a3 not to allow bishop b4. And probably he wants e4. No, he wants b4, which I find very, very not nice, because I think that b4 cannot be a good move in any case. Even if I took on b3, that would leave me with an extra pawn, and that would have been just a good position for me, because when white sacrifices the pawn, he should and he's obliged to get some initiative or compensation for it. Otherwise, giving up a pawn on move 4, it's not that nice and it's not so great. I think that after b4, cb3 would be probably also good, but a5 is emphasizing that it's not good to go b4 when your rook is not protected yet. For example, if you could play something like bishop b2 and this pawn would not be hanging, then might be then it would have been a little bit okay move. But after rook b1, a b4 and knight a6, I think that white should be in big trouble. And he does not even take the pawn and b4. Okay, then I'll just accept the gifts. I will take all the pawns that Jacco is gifting me, but he can say that I didn't develop at all, and already 8 moves I am playing with the pawns. Look at my pieces, they are all on the 8th rank, but it's definitely worth it, because I have so many extra pawns. I would go knight f6 and just take with the pawn. I think it's completely winning for me. And this move, just bishop b4, now bishop d2 is possibility, but I can just take on d2. Knight d2 is possibility as well, but I think it's losing because of knight e4. Bishop d8 should happen because there is no other move. Bishop d8 and bishop d2, queen d2, knight d2, king d2 and king d8. I will have an extra piece and extra 3 pawns, which definitely should be enough to win this game. Jacco's main mistake was in the opening when he played move b4. That was a very big mistake. a3 I think is still okay, not to allow any b4 or bishop b4, and then play just e4 in the center, although I think black is doing fine because he has an extra pawn. But this b4 was too bad, because then white doesn't have any compensation after a5. There is nothing he can do, and there is totally no compensation for it. Okay, let's see what will happen. He took the queen. I'm gonna take the knight. This is very similar to the opening trap, which is happening exactly with this idea that black is sacrificing the queen on d8. I think it is in Slav variation. It is like d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, knight bd7. can I be correct? Something like this, and you cannot take on d5 because after knight d5 there is knight d5, bishop d8 and bishop b4 check. Okay, this is going to be an easy development for me. Just knight a6, rook a3 is not possible because I have b4, so I did not blunder the pawn. Although after I played knight a6 I was like, oh my god, there is rook a3. But you cannot be oh my god in this position because you have an extra piece and extra 3 pawns. Alright, what can I do here? I can just develop rook, king c7, rook b8 and c5. I will go c5 directly because in the end game or when you have an extra material, it is good to exchange the pieces. You should always opt to exchange the pieces because end game is much easier to win rather than the middle game. Of course, if you're not attacking the king and if you're not having a tremendous attack on the king side or queen side. So what can I say? I will just defend my pieces and slowly but surely I'm gonna win this game. And then I'm gonna choose somebody who was waiting for the challenge to be accepted. All of you are waiting for the challenge to be accepted. Thank you, Jacco, for playing the game. I think that it would be, yeah, I would not repeat myself, just b4 was very, very bad move. But a lot more games to come, and if you practice, I think generally, if a chess player practices, he learns on his mistakes and he will improve very, very soon. All right, now let's see who I'm gonna choose. I have a super many challenges. So to mix the level, because I know there are different opinions about who I am playing. Sometimes I'm playing very strong players, sometimes I'm playing low rated players, sometimes I'm playing 2400-2500. So I think to mix the level, I will now choose somebody who is like 2400-2500. Let's see who I'm gonna find. And then here we are, Dneeth. I'm going to play against Dneeth. I am playing with white pieces, and now I'll mix also the openings, what I am playing usually, and I will go just the Catalan. Will we transpose to the Catalan or not? That's the question. Okay. I think I will start like this, queen c2. That's a little bit tricky move order because you never know. I want to go d4 or I want to go b3, bishop b2 or d3, knight c3. So I like this move order. Although black has many options now, let's say to go c5 or any other move. But c5 I would just take it here. If ed5 I would go d4, and I like it for white. Because now queen c2 is not that bad move. I mean, I have d1 square free for my rook, so after d takes c5, rook d1 can come in one tempo. The queen is actually needed on c2 because I am having some pressure on c5. I wouldn't take dc5 before rook d1 because I think that rook d1 c4 is in my favor, and knight d7 is not the move that one can be happy about, because it closes the bishop. If the bishop is out, let's say bishop e6, h6 is already there, then rook c8, knight d7 is a perfect plan. But knight d7 now closes everything, still has problems on d5 and c5 pawn, and I find it not that great for black. If cd4 happens, knight d4, and then the isolated pawn could be quite weak. I have a series on Chess24 about the isolated and hanging pawns, so if you haven't watched it yet and if you're interested, I definitely recommend it, because I cover nearly all the ideas from the attacking side and from the defender side. So I will reveal the secret, and I will say that if it's normal isolated pawn, I like to play with the isolated pawn and not against isolated pawn, because when you're playing with the isolated pawn, funnily enough, you have huge chance of attack. And in attack, I mean that sometimes there are ideas to get this queen on h6 if the pawn is on e3, knight e4, rook is on f8, and f4, f5, f4 is going. So that's a lot of things going on. All right, now what can I do or say? D takes c5 is one option, and bishop e3. I mean, d takes c5, bishop c5 is an option for him as well, because f2 is hanging. I don't have knight a4, unfortunately. So I think I should be quite patient, and I should first play bishop g5, because after bishop g5, there might be a problem for black. And what can this problem be? For example, if I take bishop f6 right now, knight f6 and d takes c5. There is still bishop c5 and f2 is still hanging, so that's not that great news for me. So bishop f6, actually maybe it's not that great to have bishop on g5, because if bishop f6 doesn't work, then I don't know what will work. But of course, I have moved like bishop f6, knight f6, and knight a4. And I think I'm winning the pawn, and it's definitely worth of winning the pawn, although I am giving some kind of development to black. But that's for a pawn, so I would go for it. Bishop f6, knight a4. The c5 pawn is hanging and is definitely lost. Now the question is, after the queen moves, with what should I take the pawn? With the knight or with the pawn? I like the pawn more because it can be protected with b4. Let's say queen c7, right? D takes c5, bishop d7, b4, b6. b6 is annoying. b6 is very, very annoying. But if I take with the knight, then b6 is losing on the spot. What can I do? I can play rook c1 to wait, but rook c1 allows c4, b3, and b5. This I don't like. Okay, then I will just take here, d takes c5, bishop d7. Oh, b5. That's an interesting move. That's definitely an interesting move. I have to move my knight because I cannot take c takes b6. The queen is hanging on c2, so I have to move. But it's yeah, black is obliged to take the pawn on c5 with the queen. Can I use it or not? That's the question. One thing is that if I play knight d4, there is annoying b4. So I think I have to go rook c1 first, just to make sure that my queen is protected. I have the rook in the center, and everything is kind of going okay. If I don't manage to grab the initiative very fast, then I will be in trouble, because black has two bishops and not so bad isolated pawn. I mean, it's not blocked yet, and it's not that big deal for black. So if black manages to develop without any problem bishop b7 and rook c8, I might be in trouble. What I have to do against is that I have to put my knight on d4, look at the f5 square, because knight f5 could be always annoying. And these, I thought that this is losing, just because after knight d4, rook d4, I have bishop a8. I didn't believe in this, so I will just think that he blundered and there is no trick. And definitely he blundered. I can now take on b5, or I can play knight c6. Which one is better? Knight c6, rook d1, maybe queen d1, rook b7. Yeah, knight c6 looks very good, because after rook d1 I have queen d1, and then I will have very nasty either knight d5 or, yeah, what about knight d5 or knight e4? I think knight d5 should be winning. Knight d5, knight b5, rook c5, bishop c5 and queen d5. It should be enough to win this game. If queen d5, there is knight e7, not even talking about bishop d5. But this position should be already very lost, because he's losing the queen, and the compensation for the queen would not be that big, because he will have just a rook. Okay, this is possible. Although I think I should be winning here much more than he thinks. Okay, I think rook c5. Rook c5 is not possible now. Knight f6. He should go rook f6 because rook is hanging, and queen d8. And I can... Oh, no, I should not give a check. Okay, queen b6. I can just give a check. Go e3. Now I have to be fast. Once again, very fast. Queen c3 I had to go. But it's okay. Any move? Ooh, rook f6 is a huge mistake. I can just play like this, get my bishop here. This should be definitely very winning. I just have to be fast. And I think I should manage it. I should manage... Okay, yeah. I did manage it, and that's nice, because time trouble is always annoying. Let's see, I think the mistake was that after... yeah, this knight d7, I didn't like it very much. c4, c5, and I think knight d5 would be more logical with knight c6, knight b4. Now my queen on c2 is a bit awkward, because I have to play a3. Maybe I don't want to play a3 at all. And I think knight d5 should be more interesting for black rather than ed5. Because ed5 would have some, like, I didn't like that it had some problems for black. Okay, now let's see another little bit high-rated opponent. I am playing against Bourbon from Spain, and I'm playing with black pieces. Let's see if we get the triangle Slav once again. And after I finish this game and the show, for the next one, I would like you to write in chat, what do you want me to play? Which openings do you want me to play? Because I love to take challenges, and I'd love to play something that I did not play yet, and I'd love to see what you guys want me to do with both colors, with white and with black pieces. Please do write in chat which opening or line do you want me to play and do you want to see. It can be anything. It can be French, Caracan, it can be Ruy Lopez, Najdorf, or it can be some kind of Budapest, or anything that you would want me to play. Okay, what is this about? This is a bit dubious, I think, for black, because I once again did not develop that much, and I am playing with pawns. But advancing pawns in this position, I definitely don't recommend you to play this, although it's interesting to try in the Blitz game. But I don't think that my opponent reacts very correctly. But of course, this might be a problem for me now. Anyway, I have now either to protect this pawn and play something like bishop d5 or knight b6, or I have to, I think knight b6 is nice. And if b takes c4, I have to take with the knight, but then queen b3 might be a problem. So b takes c4, b takes c4 should be played. He's using the fact that b5 pawn is hanging with check, and that's very nasty of him. But this is chess, so there is no place for complaints. It's nasty because if I play something like queen a6 or bishop a6 just to protect this, then knight e5 might be a problem. But good thing is that if I play bishop a6, I am threatening to go b4. The pawn on b5 is not hanging anymore, so I think he should definitely take, he should definitely take the pawn, and queen c2. That's everything goes all right for him. I don't have any complaints about his play, because I told you in the beginning that that's a little bit dubious opening what I did. Advancing these pawns might cause me a big problems, and what I should hope in this position is that I lose this. I don't want to lose this pawn. This is the problem, that I just don't want to lose this pawn. Well, okay, I have to lose this pawn. There is no other way. And I have to... I might have a little trick, you know, because queen is still on c2 and it might be pinned. And my trick can be that if knight d6, I will have f6. There is no knight d6 because my queen is protected. Good for him might have been knight e6, because then I was planning to play bishop d2 and then would be knight d6. But let's see what's going on. f6. Am I winning the piece or not? I think not, because just queen b3 is enough to get him out of trouble. Yeah, he's out of trouble, definitely. And I lost the pawn. I still lost the pawn. I could not save it. What can I do next after, let's say, knight d3? No, not knight d3, but knight f3. I go knight e7, queen a6, queen a4 is there, but queen a4 is nothing. I don't think that's very scary for me. Okay, it's a little bit annoying that I have to move my king, and I have to move my king, and maybe now knight c6. Maybe that's his idea. Knight c6, bishop has to go, but he forgets that I have knight c3 somewhere. I think he forgets that, because if I play knight e7 now, he wants knight b6. What does he want? What does he want? That's the main question. Knight king e7, knight b6. I will play knight b6, knight b6. No, then queen b4 is with check. So he wants knight b6. He's very tricky. Okay, let's go king f7, because after knight b6, knight e5. Tricky, tricky, tricky. Very tricky. I have to take it. There is no other way. And I have to go to f6. Also no other way. Bishop a6. I'm getting such a terrible position. It's super bad position. Super duper bad position for me. Okay. What to do? Nothing to do. There is no time to complain. In chess, there is no time to complain. You should hope for the best. And let's see what will happen. I'm reading a book, and there was written a very, very good thing that if you're being resistant, even if you have completely lost position, but you're still being resistant, then, but this is hopeless. Nothing can help me here. No resistance can help me here, I guess. This is totally hopeless. Knight d7. I will let my opponent to mate me, because it is such a big pleasure to mate somebody. Bishop d3. Bishop d3 is mate, no? I think it's mate. Yeah. Well done to Bourbon. Super good game. He definitely punished my dubious choice of the opening. He didn't give me a single chance to like breathe. Normally I was always like under pressure, and after c5 and c4, this position is very, very bad for black, because these pawns are not advantage, but these pawns are disadvantage for black, because the way he played, he underlined my weaknesses. He told me that you didn't develop yet, and you played many moves with pawns, and this has to be punished. And as you could see in the game, I was not able to develop at all, and my king was mated in the very center, and that's very bad for me, but super good for my opponent. So applause for him. And now let's see if I can revenge. Some 25-22 rated guy, and play as best as I can without any dubious openings. I think my Catalan experiment went very well, so let's see if this guy, Triacon, was watching, and he was definitely watching. He was watching the show, and he didn't play c5 anymore, but he's going for the, for the normal Catalan with c6 and b6. Okay, bishop b2, and we transposed. After d4 we will transpose to the normal Catalan, but let's see what's going on without d4. Oh my god, this is such a bad move. I mean, d takes e4, knight e4, knight e4. Okay, not that bad maybe. Queen e4, knight c5, and queen g4 I had, and then d4, so it might not be that bad. But does it give me any advantage that I don't have d4 yet? Does it give me anything? Even a small thing, I would be very happy. Let's see. Let's play without d4. I don't want any d4, and let's play without d4. d3, rook c1, queen b1, knight d4 is my next plan. a6 is completely normal because you don't want to allow knight b5 at any point. Maybe not queen b1, queen a1, but what is this? What is this? I will still go queen e2. b4, I'm not afraid. I am more concerned about d takes c4, d takes c4, b takes c4. Yeah, that's what I'm more worried about. But my hope was that I could place something, some kind of knight jump, and then I could take the pawn. Is it possible or not? Let's say knight b1. Knight b1, why? Because I don't want to go knight a4, then after bishop c6 or queen a5 it might be hanging. So knight b1 is a very, very cool place for my knight. And now I want to play rook c4. If I manage to take this pawn without any problem, without damaging my position, then I think that white is doing very well, because this a6 pawn will be a weakness. The rook on c4 will shift to the king side. Rook h4 or knight g5, some kind of attacking ideas might be born. And knight b1 I like also because after knight b6 I can go something like knight d2. So I want to take the c4 pawn with the piece, and it's very important because if I take the c4 pawn with the pawn, then I would have an isolated pawn which would be weak, which would not be definitely strong one. And now what I got is that I have the 2 against 1 on queen side. Usually it's good in the endgame compared to 4 against 3. On the king side, it's still considered that I have a passed pawn. And what can I play here? Interesting, super interesting moment. So I can take on d6, I can take on f6, but I don't want to do that. I can play rook d4, or I can if I play knight d4, then rook c4 is there. Okay, rook d4, he takes the c file, and I don't like the fact that he takes the c file. I'm not a big fan of changing the rooks as well, because I wanted to emphasize on his weakness. Interesting. I think I should take it here, and I should play something like queen c1 or queen c2. Queen c1 I would like to play, because after queen c2 and bishop b7 there might be some bishop e4 annoying annoying ones. Now I can play, let's say, knight e5 or knight d4. Let's say I play knight d4, knight e5. I like knight e5 more. And my idea is that after bishop g2, I can play queen c8, but there is queen d8, and I would gladly change these queens, because I think that the a6 pawn is a weakness. So I am sure that white is slightly better, very slightly better in this position. Now let's see if I can manage to somehow prove it. I think I will play knight against the bishop. Let's go. Oh, he wants to trap my... Oh, he wants to trap my knight. That's so not nice. King d7, I have b takes a4 or b5. Okay, we have passed pawn. My disadvantage is that I have 1 minute. That's not nice. I don't know if this is enough for something, but definitely having the passed pawn is nicer than not having it. For example, any pawn endgame I think should be fine for me. Not would be, but should be. Okay, I have to go a bit in a defending mode. Time to yeah, this is getting very clear very soon. F takes g4, f takes g4. My idea is to get a6. He has to go back. He has to go back, definitely. Or I will play knight e3. Yeah, he has to go back. I can play knight e3. Knight e3, h5, take. It's going to be a draw probably. Okay, e5, a6. e5 I don't think is the right move because everything will be with... No, I'm not going to accept the draw offer because I still think that white has a chance here. Knight b6 and it should be over. He misplayed the endgame very, very much. Okay, this should be definitely good for me. Oh, okay. He's checking my skills of mating. Okay, I think I am in time. Yeah, thank you very much for the game, and I think definitely that this was a draw. Just e5 is not needed, maybe directly h5 or just go bishop c5, but definitely white had some pressure in the game, and I think that it was a super interesting one. Thank you. This was my last game, and thank you very much for being here, for playing against me and participating in the show. As I told you, I will be back next Friday. Maybe I have not told you that, but next Friday I'll be back with the tactics test. But the next show will be the Banter Blitz, so I'd like you to give me an ideas of the opening. What should I play with, white or black pieces? And yours truly will, of course, make it come true, and we will play the openings you want me to play. Thank you very much for being here. Have a great day and see you on Friday. We will have the tactics test and we will warm up for the next Banter Blitz. Goodbye.